Hello and welcome back to the channel. I am not Justice, and welcome back to the state of speed. I am once again not Justice, and also not Justice is Cursive.
I'm not Justice.
And somehow, the third person here who is also not Justice, we have our moderator Drake.
Injustice.
You're what?
Injustice.
Injustice. Ouch. All right, well, Injustice, what are our unjust topics for today?
Okay, so we got a new Speed Duel limited list. It goes into effect in about a week, but most people are just playing with it, testing with it now. And we're going to talk about how we feel about these changes. You know, the placements, if we like where the cards were placed, if we think maybe there's a card they should have placed and they didn't, and if we think there's some stuff they should have pulled off. But I think we should just start with, I'm going to read off the changes. For anyone that doesn't know, Limited 1, we now have Offerings to the Doomed, and all the old cards are still there. Limited 2, again, nothing was pulled off, but we now have Golden Ladybug at 2, and Volcanic Shell at 2. And then Limited 3, nothing was pulled off. And we have, I'm just going to attack the Joey skill, Personality, Ben 10, Machine Angel Ritual, and Wall of Disruption, all limited through. So
and
I think
Terramaster is a great person, or Drake, one of you guys. So you'll definitely link all the changes in the description for the good people.
of course,
Sure.
Terra. But yeah, I think we should just break this down. There's not too many changes, so I think we can go one card at a time. Cursive, what do you think about Offerings to the Doomed to 1?
Very unexpected. It just kind of appeared. It's the very first thing you see, and spot removal is just too good for speed duels. It's just way too strong. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't like it. I think offerings you just could have left alone, but here we are.
Yeah, it's a 2-for-1. Why do we need to hit that? I don't even think cards that are 1-for-1 should necessarily be hit most of the time, right? Nobody goes out there and say, "Hey man, we got to hit Exiled Force. It's 1-for-1 spot removal." Like, no,
You got to hit widespread.
Yeah, you got to hit widespreads, 1-for-1 removal. It doesn't make any sense, right? So why are we hitting a card that's 2-for-1 spot removal? Is it only like it's weird because you read out earlier that Joey was put on the list, right? So I'm like, okay, why is this one of the few cards that does well against an opponent who's playing Joey? Why is that on the list as well? I don't know. So, yeah.
Okay. So I have a couple theories for this Offerings to 1 because none of us expected this card to be anywhere on the list, honestly. But I actually think it's a positive being on the list because the main thing this does is when you make a boss monster, whether you're fusion summoning it, which is inherently a -2, or you're tribute summoning it, which is inherently a -1, this is the easiest way to remove those cards. So now they're saying, hey, if you want to play this, you just don't get, Zoma or Jinzo or whatever. So you're going to see less offerings by a lot because some decks played 2 or 3. But also because now people are going to want to still play their Zoma or their Jinzo, maybe even their Rhoda. So your bosses are going to stick to the board longer. They might get floodgated still, but they're going to stick to the board longer. So you're going to be less punished for summoning something like an evil hero. I already forgot his name. Thunder Giant surely is his name.
Lightning Golem, or
Lightning Golem,
as we like to call him, Chidori Colossus.
Yeah, if you're summoning something like a Lightning Golem or even Amazoness Queen, they're more likely to stick, and I think they should because they're not easy to summon compared to something like a Banisher, a Volcanic Rocket, a Jiragumo. Like, those cards should be easy to kill. But the other thing someone else pointed out to me about Offerings to 1 is it's actually a Joey hit. And you're like, what do you mean? It's just a generic card. Anyone can play this. Yes, but Joey was the deck that could take the most advantage of it. It was pretty much the only deck that was killing you the turn it offerings. So it did not have a downside. If you just go Cyber Dragon, Gumo, offerings, a lot of times that was just game. So it's actually a Joey hit, which I think it was needed. But
Okay,
yeah,
so but like here's my thing. I'm gonna go back to what you mentioned there about these boss monsters.
Mhm.
And yes, having these really bad boss monsters stick is great for a casual format, and seems like that might be what they're aiming towards. So in that case, this is a
Yeah.
great hit. But from a competitive perspective, spot removal is very important, and they are just taking all of it. They're taking every single good card that deals with problematic cards, and they're just stripping it away. They're slowly like decreasing the power level of the format instead of increasing it.
Yeah. And I mean,
Yeah,
obviously, people's opinions on this differ, right? But I think the three of us here uh, enjoy formats of a generally higher power level than what Speed Duel has been for a long time. And even if you look at like the most, I guess, successful, and it's obviously opinionated again, but like the most fun Speed Duel format, it was Battle City. And Battle City had a much higher power level than we
Yeah.
have now.
the highest.
Right. It had full power unions, which was so good, right? With 3 hanger, 3 scramble, and an unerrata union skill. So you could compete with Moth, which at the time was just absurd to think about, right? You had inner conflict monarchs with 3 Jinzo. So your opponent can't really use their traps to stop your OTK if you have the Jinzo. So like those were 3 decks right there that were like so good. But they were all of a high power level, and they all did, for the time, cool things, right? Tribute your opponent's monster. When it first came out, the problem is it lasted like 8,000 years. But when it first came out, was kind of cool because it was new to Speed
Yes.
Duel, right? And actually make XYZ Dragon Cannon every single game, twice per game if you can survive long enough, which you normally could, was also really cool. So, I just don't feel like, instead of giving us more things that you're like, oh, this is also really cool, and either keeps the power level the same or increases it or whatever, we're like getting less cool and going down in power level.
Yeah, and
Right.
like, go ahead, Drake. I'll let you go ahead there.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I don't think like the three of us want a lower power format, but I think the Speed Duel team does, and that is why this is hit. They want the format to be more casual than it is.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely it. And like, going back to what Terramaster was saying there about like Battle City, it really was like an extremely fun format. Obviously, like looking back on it now, there was like a lot of very, very problematic cards, and the ban list that came out after Battle City format was probably one of like the few ban lists that I agreed a lot with, and I'm including the erratas in here because it actually dealt with issues to the format. Like the power level of these cards were way beyond what we should have had, but now we're going back and it's like, okay, you got rid of these really, really insane cards that are like beyond speed duels, and you made these new cards playable. That's great. But this should not be our trend where we're just slowly going down and down and down and
Right.
down. Like I felt like we got rid of like the stupid stuff for the most part, obviously, not completely. But now we're just getting rid of like things for no reason.
Right. Yeah, I mean, on that point, I understand, right? Like we talked about conflict and cocoon and all that, like before their errata, though. Those cards were obviously really hard to power creep without just going like, here's access code talker.
Yeah.
But in spite of that, like you got that right, okay? Those cards are hard to power creep, so you took care of them. Cool. But why not power creep all the normal stuff? Yeah.
I have all my speed duel erratas over here. Let's go.
Look at that.
Right. So like an option is, instead of hitting things like Joey, make better decks.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be super hard to do, but
Right. You want vampires to be a top tier contender without having to ban old stuff? How about Vampire Grace? How about Vampire Vamp? How about an actual vampire boss monster that you can play and you don't have to be like, okay, vampire's an engine. What do I do with it? It's like, oh, all the old stuff is banned. Cool. And now it's got a decent shot at being tier 1. Just make it have a shot at being tier 1 anyway.
At least give us some monarchs so we can sack them for something usable.
Right. Yeah. Or that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's enough on offerings though, unless you got more stuff to say.
No, not about offerings specifically. I just think that you can. I think you should use a limited list or a ban list to hit real problems, and they're kind of hitting cards that are used.
Yeah.
Which I think is taking it a little too far. Now, again, from their perspective, they might be doing exactly what they're trying to do. But from our perspective, where we want something a little stronger, a little more competitive, we're seeing them hitting cards just because they see play, and it's like, I think you're going a little too far there. But oh well.
Yeah.
So that was the only limited 1 change. Limited 2 change. One of them's pretty exciting. We got Golden Ladybug to 2. Go ahead, Tara. What do you think about that?
Thank you. This is one of the things that I will agree with on the list here. It was well overdue. In a 4,000 life point format which has intentionally been slowed down every single time there's an update to the list. You need to take care of the card that says, "Oh, you want to play slow? Well, I got a card for you." So yeah, no, just sitting there. You want to talk about a casual format, right? And this goes to Drake's point of like, oh, they want to make it a casual format. Cool. Casual format is not fun if you're trying to get somebody into the game and you're like, oh yeah, by the way, the best deck, what you do is you sit there, you have this card revealed to your opponent, and you keep increasing the number on your notepad or your Neuron app or whatever it is you're using to track life points, right? That's like to me, who's played Yu-Gi-Oh in the past and would have never played Speed Duel, I would hear that and be like, what? Why? We're not actually like advancing the game state. We're just like sitting here with these bugs in our hand. That sounds stupid, man. I'm gonna go play something else. So this was a very good hit and very necessary.
Do you think it's in the right place though, or with the right cards? Maybe is the better way to put it.
We're gonna get to that. I don't wanna jump to that point already.
All right.
Yeah. My thoughts on Golden Ladybug is we've been talking about this is like the card in Speed Duel that needed hit for like 6 months. They finally did it. The placement, again, we'll get into that a little later, but the placement's not great because the next card is Volcanic Shell limited to, and they're now saying, hey, you can't play TP. You can't play TP Volcanics with Ladybugs, and it's like,
we got
okay, but I can play Ladybugs and anything else, and I can play TP and anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so Volcanic Shell. Go ahead on that one, Cursive.
Wow, what a great hit, you know? Volcanics just got new support in the TCG, so we said let's just kill them in Speed Duels here. We don't want them. Yeah, sure. I mean, I feel bad for anyone that likes Volcanics that isn't in a TP oriented way, but
yeah,
whatever.
This has to be a typo, right? Like this Volcanic Shell should have, like, they meant to say Twisted Personality. They just accidentally typed in Volcanic Shell. Like this.
Yeah.
There's no reason. Like, poor Volcanic Shell, man. Did nothing wrong. Was just abused with TP and Golden Ladybug and just like innocent bystander and all of this, you know. Volcanic Shell is the guy who gets like blackmailed into being involved in some drug deal. Like they kidnapped his family or something. And they're like, all right, you're gonna help us commit this crime, because if not, we've kidnapped your family. You don't know what we'll do to them. And Volcanic Shell's like, I guess. And then Volcanic Shell is the first one to get arrested for like,
exactly.
You know,
Shell's the one that they catch. Like, oh no.
And like, what was it? Was it Duel Links? The Shell had some like some quirky uses there for like fusions, I think.
Yeah,
just where it can like replace itself and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you can do that in Speed Duel. You
Right.
could have at least.
could have.
Yep.
People were using it with things like Nova Master,
Yeah.
and people were using it for just discard costs of skills.
Yeah. Yeah. So obviously that is too broken.
Yes.
When you play cost, you gotta neg. I'm sorry. So
That's why we put it back in our deck with some of them.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no,
Exactly.
it's funny because we were actually talking about this before, where like there's no card in volcanics that you need to hit, period.
Mhm.
And we knew they were gonna hit one. We're like, they're going to hit a volcanic card
Yeah.
because they're not thinking about
They're not
like
thinking.
what cards are powerful and what cards are being abused and like what cards are obnoxious or annoying to play against. They're just seeing like, oh, this is in a lot of winning lists.
Mhm.
Let's hit it.
Yeah,
It's like,
this
Volcanic Shell was never the problem in any way. Now, I would argue that Rocket and Blaze Accelerator and Wildfire also not problems.
no. And this is what comes back to, and we'll get to this later as we get further on other things on the list, where it comes back to like not playing the game and not watching the game being played, right? Where it's hard to understand what exactly is broken, right? This is where Konami looked at the lists and they went, okay, skill card that multiple times per duel is half of Delinquent Duo, or I don't know what's like Smashing Ground, but nothing is immune to it ever,
Non-targeted removal.
right?
Like
Yeah.
Which nothing is immune to ever,
Yes.
right?
It is,
It's impossible
not
for
a card.
right. It's not a card effect, right? It's just
It's a god
magical.
effect.
Yeah, it's basically like cheat to remove one monster from the field. It's silly. And they looked at those two things and were like, well, you can, let's say on average you can do each of those effects twice per duel in a long game, right? And they said, that's fine. Volcanic Shell? No. Get that out of here.
I don't think any other skill in the game even is at the power level of you activating each of those once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the fact of the matter is, you would often get 3 effects off of it in a duel.
Yep. You would. And it's a problem, right? Because we talked about boss monsters earlier, right? I set up my boss monster, Izana, and it's protected from destruction in theory, except it's not, because it's not a card effect destruction. Like, what does that even mean, right? I could have had my dreams come true and gotten Malicious Bane in Supreme King's deck, and the card Malicious Bane that cannot be destroyed by card effects, opponent would just be like, oh, guess what, skills aren't card effects, GG. So it's there's just nothing to say about that.
Yeah. No, I don't think. I think there being a card that pops cards and is a skill, I don't think that's terrible for the game. But the fact that you can use that ability more than once and it has another ability, that is where it becomes a problem.
Yeah. I think it should just be. I don't know why it wasn't from the start. Well, because it was competing with conflict and such, sure. But I think when they errated it, I don't understand why it wasn't just made each of these skills is once per duel, right?
Yep.
So it just I don't know why there is no restriction on it, whereas every single skill printed since GX has at least like 2 restrictions on it. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
It kind of boggles the mind.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So Shell got on the list because of Ladybug, so you can't play them together. That was their idea. So it serves a purpose on the list, just not a very good one. Limited 3. First off, we've got I'm just going to attack. What do you think, Tara? Limited 3. I'm just going to attack.
Here's what this is. Okay, see my wrist? Yeah, that's what that is. It's it's a little slap on the wrist for these beatdown decks. It's like, okay, you can play one less. You can't play Book of Moon anymore with your 2 Cyber Dragons. Oh no!
Right.
What am I gonna do? Nobody's ever played without Book
That's
of Moon.
impossible.
I've never won a game where I didn't draw Book of Moon. That's crazy. Yeah, this means almost nothing. So like whatever. Like this might as well not even be there. Like it forces someone to change one card out of 20. Like it doesn't really matter.
I'd
There's
much rather it be here than not be here because, yeah, you basically just lose your one book, but you also lose all copies of Wall of Disruption now. So,
I mean, that's because wall is put there, though. Less so
Yeah.
because the skill is put there, right?
Yes. But I'm saying like you are making a real sacrifice when
A painful choice.
you are making an actual sacrifice when choosing to play this skill because you're saying there's all these cards I get to run one less of, and I actually probably get to run 0 of them because I'm probably running 2 Cyber Dragons. Yeah, it is a slap on the wrist, but again, I'd rather it be here than not be here.
Here's the problem I have with this one, and I've said this to both of you guys. The problematic decks in the format to me were the decks that were either too slow or too fast, right? And that was before this list. Was TP Volcanic because it was too slow, right? Wasting an hour of my life to go to time. And then too fast, which was Cyber Angels, where whether I'm playing it or I'm getting played against it, I'm winning or losing in 5 minutes. So I understand some people's perspective, where a lot of times a game that goes that quickly, you feel like you didn't actually get to play. So those are the two problems. And if your opponent is at like 10,000 life points, by the time you're 20 minutes in, you also feel like you didn't really get to play. Because you just can't kill them at that point. Because we just don't have decks that are fast enough. Unless you've already, used up all your gas in your fast deck. So those were the problematic decks. I think the beatdown decks were always very easily beatable, right? If those too fast or too slow decks didn't exist, and I told Cursive this just yesterday, I could come up with like 10 decks right now that would have a high win rate against beatdown. But that's not the world we live in, and it won't be now thanks to the way this list worked.
Yeah, and I want to add on to that. I've agreed with you with this as well, where I think beatdown is a strong deck, sure, but it just plays like all the good stuff and just has the generic skill. The deck beatdown, I don't think is an issue. The only reason I at all agree with I'm just going to attack being put on the list is because I think a format where you have deck specific skills that help bolster a archetype strategy is a lot more fun than a bunch of stupid generic I'm going to negate one of your traps skills. That's just not the format that I'd like to play in, and probably not casual players either.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't think generic skills are good for casual or competitive, probably.
Yeah.
I do like being forced into, okay, I'm playing vampires, so I have this skill that lets me summon a vampire genesis or something, or I'm playing volcanics, so I have this skill that's going to let me get out a doomfire a couple times a game. Cool, I guess. But having something that's just like, oh, you can play this in anything, and you can just play all the best cards in the game. Like we've seen with Moth in the past, we've seen with Twisted Personality a little bit, and we've definitely seen with Joey as well, where it's just like, just play the best cards and this skill.
Yeah. I saw a mention about Joey too. Is that why do we hate battle traps so much? In a format where we now have Galaxy Cyclone, Cosmic Cyclone, Night Beam, Dust Tornado, Breaker, Nobleman of Extermination, which isn't great, but if your opponent has battle traps, it's pretty good, right? You hit one widespread, you've hit all the widespread. We have all of those tools already that say battle traps, get good. And now we're just like, you know what? None of that is good enough. We're just going to say once per turn, negate a battle trap. Just negate it. Why?
Which is inherently better than most of those cards you listed.
Right.
Because it doesn't use any cards.
Right. So I think it lowers the like amount of thought you have to put into deck building, because you're not like, okay, which back row hate do I want? Which back row hate fits well with my deck? Do I really need the Cosmic if I'm Ojama? Yes, I do, right? Or can I play the Night Beam? And it's just not. I don't know. I think once per turn negate something is not healthy to have free access to all the time. So that's another thing. Maybe that's just me. Yeah.
No, I agree. I don't like the skill being in the format, period. Even if it isn't overpowered, even if the deck isn't overpowered, I feel like it's just not something we want to be playing against.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I completely agree.
Yeah. And we just printed half counter.
Especially when you're in a format, which has happened for the past about 6 months, where it's like, oh, battle traps are good against one or two of the three decks, but they're useless against the other one, so I can't main them.
I know, right? And battle traps are like they've always been like a classic Yu-Gi-Oh staple, right?
Mhm.
And people coming to speed duels to play classic Yu-Gi-Oh, and they say, "I'm gonna play, widespread ruin." You got to look them and say, "Man, I'm sorry. Even if we had Sakuretsu, that wouldn't be good enough either."
Deep prison wouldn't be good
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah, literally. Like we gotta just. I'm sorry, man. Battle traps. Even if we had Mirror Force, that probably wouldn't be good enough. Like,
No, you would play it,
Like-
but you would hesitate so much because you'd be like, hold on, this can't kill Cyber Angels,
yeah,
and this gets negated by Joey.
I need 2 for Joey.
And the old TP doesn't attack.
Right.
Yeah.
At least the new one does. But
Yeah.
Yes, but
Yeah.
exactly, it's like to tell people that we could have Mirror Force in this format, but the format would not allow Mirror Force to be good. It's like, I see.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
a card that, upon reading, is like way better than any other card we have wouldn't be good. Like,
Nope.
weird, very
Yeah.
strange.
Makes no sense at all.
So yeah, I think hitting the generic skills a little harder would be a good idea. They're at least showing that they're recognizing that they're a problem.
Yep. But yeah, maybe someday we'll get to the point where the archetype specific skills will be the best skills. But right now, I don't know about you guys, but when I go to build deck, I'm like, okay, am I playing TP? Am I playing Joey? Am I playing Switcheroo? Am I playing Shadow Reborn?
Yeah.
It takes a lot for me to go, okay, no, I'm playing this specific archetype skill instead. It takes a lot to get there.
Yeah. It takes like exactly Dark Scorpions.
Yes.
Sure. That's a good example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes exactly,
yeah.
I'm making a Dark Gaia turbo deck and I need to search Dark Fusion.
Yes.
When I build a deck around a card combo, often I'm like, okay, what's the best skill here? And it's like, so often, oh, it's probably just Joey. Probably just
Yep.
I'm just going to attack is the
Mhm.
best skill here. But I'm disappointed every time because I don't have as much fun building decks around skills because most of the skills have so many restrictions and things like, okay, well, you can't do this, this, or this with the skill. It's like, okay, well, I just wanted to run this Battle Survivor combo, for example. But I can't run any of these cool skills with it because they all have restrictions like, oh, you have to only have machines, or you have to only have roids, or you have to only have dark scorpions. So I have to just pick something like generic, and it's the same one every time.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing that makes me feel good about this is that they've done this before where they've hit something and then been like, oh, that wasn't enough of a hit. And then they hit it again harder, right? So you look at Cocoon, Errata, wasn't good enough. We had to put it to 2 with Parasite. That worked, right? We had Nightmare Wheel to 2. That obviously wasn't good enough because it was competing with nothing. So then we put it to 1, and that worked. Nightmare Wheel is essentially Shadow Band now. So it's like, okay, that gives me hope that they're going to do the same here. Once they realize, like, oh, every tournament still has like 3 Joeys in top 8, right? I'm guessing it'll probably be 2 to 3, and they're
All
like,
Joey,
oh,
all TP.
yeah, basically, right? Every tournament still has Joey and TP in top 8. Well, guess we didn't hit it hard enough, so we either have to errata it or hit it harder, move it further up the list with other cards that are essential to either deck. So we'll see what happens.
I feel like if you put like Cyber Dragon and Joey and I don't know what third card would be.
Yeah, just
all at 2.
Yeah.
then sure, I guess you're not playing Joey. I don't know. It's very strange because it is so generic that you don't have to play Cyber Dragon with it. You don't have to play
Yeah.
Offerings. You don't have to play Book of Moon.
you don't.
There's like no specific card you have to play with Joey.
It's just the good stuff deck. It's
Mhm.
what like Moth used to be, but now we don't have, just the Moth engine. So all right, I'm just going to attack. We'll negate one of your battle traps.
It's really hard to hit this card without just banning it, which is
I was going to say
probably the
crazy
thing to do.
idea. Forbidden and limited list.
I honestly think I honestly think the proper way to hit these two skills is banning them.
Yeah, just until maybe not forever. It doesn't have to be.
Oh
But,
no,
I mean,
of course.
Yeah, I'm just going to attack. I'll get power crept. TP, on the other hand, I think that can stay there probably forever.
Yeah, yeah. Unless you errata and make it once per duel. But yeah, I mean, it's.
I don't know. Even then,
Yeah.
I think there are ways to make it less toxic, but in its current form, I think it's just going to keep getting better as we
Yeah.
get more. And I think that's the same for Joey. It's just a good generic skill,
Mhm.
but there's always going to be cards to play with it. No matter how many old cards you hit, there's always going to be something new to play with it, or the next best card, right?
Yeah.
If they hit like a good battle trap you used to play, well, it's like, okay, well now I'll just play widespreads, and there's always going to be the next best card.
Always.
Like, that's
Yeah,
how cards
will,
will
yes.
work.
Yep. Unless you're gonna put everything on limit 3.
Right, unless you put all Yu-Gi-Oh cards limit 3.
Yes.
like to all those people that are like, "We'll just ban all the best decks. That'll solve the format." But then what about the next best deck?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's fine to do something kind of like that, because it's like, oh well, yeah, there's a next best deck, but it wasn't played the last format, so at least it's new to the meta. But yeah, I'd rather just get new decks
Yeah.
and cards printed that are better. I like it getting replaced that way.
Yep.
But yeah, I think just putting these cards in a lock, in like a little prison, it's like, okay, these two cards are banned. It doesn't mean we're gonna ban them forever, but we want to see a 4-month period of time, which is roughly how often they release these lists. We want to see a 4-month period of time that doesn't have Twisted Personality and I'm just going to attack. We want to see what that looks like.
Yeah.
And then we can decide from there, maybe they should come back, or maybe we should hit something else instead.
Yeah. It would be good to see. It seems like they're really trying to not go there. But as we've seen with Konami before, whether it was in TCG or Duel Links, they'll resist for a while, but eventually there is going to be a ban section, and that's just Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, I don't know why they're trying again, but okay, sure.
Always try, always fail.
Always try, always fail.
No, I mean, what's nice is they can always they have patterns. We notice patterns of like, oh, they don't want to ban any cards or stuff like that. But they can always break their patterns, and we've seen them do it. So nothing is like a rule or a law for them. Maybe they don't want to ban any cards, but if they see it necessary enough, I think it could happen. I think we could live in a
Matthew
world
Bell
where
didn't even want a list.
Huh?
I said, I mean, Matt Bell didn't even want a list, so
Right.
we're already doing
Right.
better.
Well, neither did the creator of Yu-Gi-Oh. Originally, he did not want a ban list,
Yeah,
but it became necessary, so it happened anyway.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, I think we've talked about both skills now. We can probably keep going.
So we got a couple more. So the next couple cards we're going to talk about together, then that is Limited 3, Machine Angel Ritual, and Cyber Angel Ben 10. Kursov, what do you think about these?
It hurts the deck's consistency, but opposed to popular belief, the deck is still very much so alive. At least in my opinion. I could be proven wrong. I am not a professional Speed Duel player. But yeah, I think they probably could have done more to CAs because it is a, problematic deck, but it is at least something.
I knew, Drake, me and you talked about this. We knew it, right? We knew Konami would look at the list and be like, well, Ben 10 has been historically broken in the TCG. It's
very funny.
It's got to be Ben 10. Like,
we knew it was going to be Ben 10 because that's the most powerful card in the TCG from Cyber Angels.
Yep.
What the actual hard hit here is is Machine Angel Ritual and Idaten.
Yep. That would have killed the deck.
That's the devastating hit.
That would have
But
killed the
maybe-
deck. That would have killed it.
Maybe they didn't want to do that yet. Maybe they want to see if this is enough. And I think it might be enough
No.
to. I don't think a goal of a ban list or limited list should ever be, oh, this was taking up 4 of the top 8. We want it to take up 0. I think the goal
No,
should
it,
be.
it should be.
I think the goal should be, oh, this was taking up 4 of the top 8. We want it to take up 1 or 2 at most. And I think that's what this hit did. Less people are going to play it.
Like, what do you
and
do
Played
to
it really anyway?
what do you do
Not
to
that many
cancer?
people were
Drake?
playing it.
What do you do to cancer? You don't kill half of the cancer and be like, all right, we can let the other half stay here because some people have fun with cancer. That doesn't make any sense, all right? you kill the whole thing. Okay?
I don't like this analogy
This
because
is such a bizarre analogy.
I don't know.
for multiple reasons, but because cancer spreads, and I don't think Yu-Gi-Oh cards spread. But
Cyber Angel spreads. The more people that win
if
with
the
it,
Cyber Angel cards just start infecting other decks, I don't see that happening.
the more people that play it, the more people that win with it, the more people will want to play
One
it.
day you're looking through your deck and it's just all Ben
It's
10s.
all-
It's like,
it's
how
all
did this
Ben
happen?
10s.
How did this happen? They should have hit it
Uh,
harder.
Yeah.
See, I think CA should be hit harder because it is an issue unless Konami plans on actually power creeping the format. If they're going to keep it at this level or lowering it, CA is a problem. And the deck being around is
Oh, yeah,
problematic.
Yeah. You're right. Absolutely. If they're going to keep lowering the power level or not increasing it, CAs do need a harder hit. And I think that the hit is just you switch Ben 10 with Idaten.
Yep.
And now the
Yeah.
deck should be just bad enough to that no one's going to care.
Yep. See, because the thing is, and I'm just gonna give it away. I don't care. If you want to prove my point and play Cyber Angels and top with it, please do it. You just play the build Drake and me had, at least. We had 2 Senju, 2 Sonic Bird, right?
Yep.
Now you've lost 2 Ben 10 and 1 ritual spell, right? Is how the correct way to do it would be, because you still want to max out your ritual spells, but you don't want 0 Ben 10. So you just replace, you've lost 3 cards. You replace 2 of those with 1 Sonic Bird, which is just an extra ritual spell search, and 1 Senju, which is just an extra way to grab a Ben 10 because you only have 1 left in deck. And
Right.
that leaves you with 1 more slot to fill. Play any spell, which with your skill
much.
card is either a Cyber Angel or a ritual spell. So, like, to me, it decreased the consistency like a little bit. Again. So, like, this, it's like, whatever, man. Like, you might as well have not done anything.
So these going unlimited 3 also saying you can't play Cosmic, so you have to play Night Beam, which is slightly worse. That's not a big deal, but it is a thing. I think there's multiple consistency problems when you're only playing 1 Ben 10 and 2 Machine Angel Ritual. Yes, you can still do your combos. Yes, you can still draw Azana plus Ida 10 boards. But now that you are replacing those with 2 more normal summons, there's just going to be more hands that you brick with. So, like, am I going to play this deck that can technically still work? Yeah, I'm not going to play this deck, though. Because I don't want to open the hands where I have 2 Sonic Birds and a Senju and a spell, and I'm like, I'm not winning that. Because they out my 1 ritual monster and I'm dead.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't agree with Terramaster's statement of they shouldn't basically have just not have done anything.
I said might as well. Like, this is, to me, this does almost nothing. Like, a 5% reduction to a 70% win rate, it's like, okay, I really don't care. I really don't care.
Though. It's reducing consistency on so many different aspects. Too many normal summons. I agree. I came up with 4 is the correct ratio. 5 is whatever, but 6 is actually just too many normal summons. And then you're also having less Ben 10s, so you're just going to have less hands that you pop off on. It was very consistent when you had 3 Ben 10, 3 Ida 10, that you were actually getting the full combo. That consistency went down. The bricking consistency of too many normal summons went up. The protection of Machine Angel Ritual went down. Like, this deck was attacked in multiple ways just by 2 hits.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a a relevant hit to the deck. I don't think it's enough, as we've all stated, but I think it definitely does something.
Well, it's like you said, Drake said, you're not playing the deck. I'm not playing the deck. My reason for not playing the deck isn't because I don't have confidence in it anymore. It's just because I'm bored of it.
Been there, done that.
And yeah, sure. And like I have been since February. Like I never even wanted to play this deck. I don't like a deck that just OTKs for the most part, right? Like I really only played this deck even when I did just to kind of prove how good it was. So like I've never liked this style of deck. I don't now, and that's my reason for not playing it. I still believe it's probably the strongest fast deck we have in Speed Duel. So if you want to play as fast as possible, this is probably still your option. Yeah. So it's still the only deck that plays a monster with destruction protection, a big 3,500 monster, right? That your opponent still has to find a way to out. And one of the most commonly used tools, which is going to be a good transition to our next card. One of the most commonly used tools to deal with said 3,500 monster after it had already hit the field is now hit.
Also, remember too, like no one's thinking about this deck right now, so no one's probably siding for this deck right now. So
Mind Crushers are probably at an all-time low in sideboard.
Yep. Now's your time. Now's your time. Bring it while no one thinks about it.
Yep. People aren't playing Spell Canceller right now, probably in their side deck. If you are, then hey, you're prepared for it, I guess. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll talk more about it when we do the last section, which is our meta predictions. But first off, the last card that got limited 3, Wall of Disruption. What do you think about that, Tara?
Yeah, this is where I was going at. Like, this is one of the cards, right? That you're like, okay, opponent has Edatan and Izana. You set Wall of Disruption. And if they either don't hit it and you've set it before they go combo, or you've survived and you set it after their combo, now you're weakening that Izana all the way down to 1900 if it was boosted once. And 1900 is something you can deal with, especially in our current format, right? Malicious Edge, any Monarch can just like say 1900, cool, I will attack you every single turn until you run out of ritual spells in graveyard, and then I will kill you, right? 1900 you can deal with as long as you can survive the initial hit before you get them down to 19. Unions could have dealt with 1900, right? All your fusion monsters are above 19.
Topaz Tiger
can deal with 1900. Exactly. So that's also this card also being limited 3 makes you go, oh no, I have to dedicate my entire 3-up slot to either Floodgate or Wall of Disruption. How am I going to hit Cyber Angels? Are you going to tell me if CAs somehow end up being still like even a tier 2 deck? All right. Am I playing a Dejin Trap Hole?
Hell yeah.
Is that what I'm resorting to? Like, I guess, but I don't know. I don't love that idea. So that's,
yeah. And NDD Warrior Lady, I don't know if you mentioned that, but all the good outs to Cyber Angels, they're all limited 3.
Yep. You could say you could say play Jujutsu Master, to which my answer is just, well, yes, but Jujutsu Master has this problem where it's not as good against less aggressive decks because the effect only triggers if you set Jujutsu Master and then just stand there. You can't proactively attack with it, right? So if you're playing,
that really is the issue, right?
Yeah,
is that you can't swing in with Jujutsu and use its effect.
Yeah, it's not Grand Mole as much as we would want it to be because it was a GX box. But anyway, yeah, I'm not gonna go on that rant today.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just another card that was a good staple that they decided to add to the staple 3 of bulk, and I don't think it needed to be there in my opinion. It added some interesting play. You know, am I playing around the wall? Am I not playing around the wall? What am I doing here? Now it's like, okay, what have I seen in the 3 of section? What are they on? Like 1 wall a D? Okay, who cares?
Yep. You see a Warrior Lady, you see a Breaker, you see a Floodgate, you're like, perfect. You see a book, you're like, yeah, I don't have to play around wall anymore.
Even better, you see Twisted Personality or I'm just going to attack, and you know they only have 2 other 3-ofs.
Yes. Yeah, that too. So, yeah. It did bring some skill to your battle phases and your attacking and how many monsters you commit to attacking with. And now that's another skilled part of the game, I think, that's like gone now, which I don't know. Personally, I don't like that. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I something we've talked about before is the next card, in power level, and that's kind of how we're hitting, how we're seeing the staples get hit. Oh, book was in every deck, hit book. Okay, now floodgates in every deck. Okay, hit floodgate. Oh, now the wall is in every deck, hit wall. Well, eventually you're going to be putting some pretty weak cards on the limited 3 list because like next up is already not a very good card. It's widespread.
Wabaku.
Yeah, I know. We got people playing Wabaku and Windstorm.
Yeah.
What
yeah,
is this
exactly.
format like?
Exactly. Windstorm hasn't seen play in like 3 years, but now it is. And it's not because of Cloudians, so please don't say, oh, but it's good against Cloudians. Yeah, sure it is. That's not why people are playing it.
Cloudians got second place pre-Banlist, I'll have you know.
Mm-hmm.
People are playing it because it's a way to deal with Cyber Angels or Dark Gaia or whatever, even Banisher.
Yeah. You want to, Cursive? You want to talk about that? You want to talk about that Cloudy in second place and how that bracket went?
Oh yes, it was really great. He got a bye, I think. He faced Elemental Heroes. One of his games, they bricked twice in a row, and he got second place though. So
Yeah, but that's a single elimination tournament. You get a bye, so you didn't really have to play. You get weak deck as opponent, so cool. Might as well not have bad play. And then opponent bricked, so fluke. And then second place. That's
There you go.
it's
You
okay
did
though.
it.
He said when he posted his deck list, this deck is garbage. So.
even
Okay,
the
all right.
player who played the deck acknowledged that. So
Yeah.
there you go.
But no, like Windstorm to deal with, like, you know, the things I already said, the CA, the Banisher, the Dark Gaia, whatever. But we're being forced to play these weaker cards because everything better has been hit, and some of them for good reasons. But for wall disruption, probably not the best reason. It was probably just the next best card we had.
Yeah, no, it literally it was played as 3 of in like a bunch of decks, and they were like, "Oh no."
Yep. Look, spot
Right,
removal is bad, and staples are also bad.
But there's always going to be the next best card, and I think Konami's going to keep hitting that next best card. So we're gonna see some funny things on the limited 3. And as soon as I see widespread limited 3, I'm like, wow.
State of Speed is canceled as soon as widespread goes to limit 3, guys.
I don't know, man. But like, if they really do take it that far, which is what I'm kind of predicting they will, that's just silly.
Yeah. We'll see. Like, there's obviously always hope for like the next box to have something that actually increases the power level of the format. Because I will admit they got closer this time, right? With things like vampires, where vampires a deck that special summons 3 times per turn or something. It can. So okay, like only Cyber Angels could do that before. So okay, cool. We have other decks that can summon multiple monsters. Great, but it's still like they didn't give it a finisher. They didn't give it an ender.
I do think overall with the box they did a better job with the skills. Obviously, some of them are still fairly useless, but I think they did a good job of showing us like, hey, this is where we want the skill power level to be, where they're usable, but not broken. But usable is important because in midterms we got almost nothing that was usable.
Yeah.
And this time they're like, hey, I know these aren't necessarily the best skills, but they're usable.
I have a theory on skills, by the way, as to what's going to be usable and what's not. I think all you have to do is look at how much text is on the skill. Okay? If it's like 2 lines of text, like the Viper skill, right? Where it's just like you can read it in 3 seconds. That means not a lot of thought was put into that skill. They didn't really care. They just like went to a random word generator and generated some random words and threw them onto the card. And then added the word reptile in there because it's Viper. And same thing with the Yugioh skill we got. But like if you look at some of the other skills that have more text on them, like Dark Unity, right? Like they actually put a little bit of thought into that skill. They're like, okay, what do we want this skill to do? We want it to try to make Super Poly playable with Dark Gaia, and we want it to try to make Dark Fusion a playable card. So there was an effort, there was an attempt, but like with some of like with the Amazonas guilds, there was not even an attempt there.
I mean,
Right?
like I don't even remember what the Amazon skills read because they're just
There was not even an
irrelevant.
attempt there. They're just So like
Oh.
you can tell which skills they tried on, and which skills they were just like whatever. Because look, if I'm designing a box with 20 skills, I'm not gonna try on all of them either. 16, whatever the number is. So I'm not gonna try on all of them either. Like Don Zaluk, they tried, right?
You give
Ubel,
me
they did
enough
not.
time. I'm gonna try on all 16.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, this format could use some trying.
I don't know-
I'd,
I don't
I'd
know
give it as
what-
well.
I don't know what other work this team has. If they have a bunch of other work to do,
I
they
promise
might
you
not
they
have
do.
had. Yeah, they might not have had a ton of time to work on Speed Duel. But if this is like their main project, they probably could have done a little better. But
Yeah.
I think it's improving. That it's hard to see because this is just one box after midterms, which was the worst of the. Was there 4 boxes now?
Yes.
Which midterms was the worst of the 4 boxes,
Three.
and
You're counting GX,
No,
midterms, and shadows.
If you
I'm-
include Battle City,
Battle
then there's
City.
4.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
including Battle City. Okay.
including Bell City, which I know was not necessarily them,
Mhm.
A good
but-
box. Good box.
but it's a box, right? Yeah. So we're seeing this one as probably the second best box, maybe. If the trend continues,
I mean,
I would
GX
say
box had
Duel
Cyber
Academy.
Angels and Crystal Beast. I don't know where you're.
Yeah.
it might be the third best. But if the trend continues where they keep getting better and closer to what Battle City was, that's good.
Well,
See,
you know
I guess
how you
my
get
issue here
closer to
is,
Battle
like,
City.
I mentioned. Oh yeah, I know, right? I mentioned to Terra Master there a while ago. It's like you could say this is the third best box, right? And then it's better than midterms. But midterms is such a low standard that calling something better than midterms is like calling something better than the entire GX era of advanced format. It's really not hard. Like
Yeah.
it's just yeah.
Right, like they didn't get an F with this set, but
Yeah.
I think it's even better than that. I think there are arguments that this set is the second best. Overall, when you factor in secret picks, this is the second best of the 4. When you factor in skill quality, like overall, this probably is the second best. Then when you look at card pool, that's where it becomes third best. Yes.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think part of the issue there is that card pool. I mean, no, the secret rare should be the easiest thing to do. I don't know why you fail at that. But the card pool should be the second easiest thing to do. Like I expect a better card pool before I expect better skills. Because skills
Right,
you got to
that's the
design.
hardest part. Yeah.
But the card pool, it's right there. We know what the cards that exist in the game are right now.
Yeah,
Just
and
print them.
I've kind of talked about this already, but here my biggest problem is that vampires are really good, right? But what's the best way to play vampires with an old skill, with a skill really old, 3 years old,
Right.
Thanks, Matthew Bell.
Not even GX.
right? Not
At
even
all.
a GX skill, right?
Not even a box.
Yeah,
This is a starter deck skill.
it's a starter deck skill. Back when we had starter decks, you know how young I was back when we had starter decks. My goodness, I was still in middle school. No, I'm joking. Yeah, that's how old we have to go back to be like, what's the optimal way to play this new deck, right? Dark Scorpions are good, but then for those of us who like want to play in remote duel events, the deck is unplayable because one of the key cards is banned in remote duel events. So and that has nothing to do with the Speed Duel team and their design, right? Good job on Dark Scorpions, really great job.
they did
That's
great.
amazing.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
They did a really good job with that deck.
That's just like remote duels having some weird stuff happening there. Like, why can't we just ban the effect that's a problem rather than banning the whole card? Whatever. We've discussed this already. And then like I can't like can you think of a third good deck from this box? You know, I guess Dark Gaia Turbo is fine, but then like if you want to OTK, the best way to OTK is just to play an old deck with Cyber Angels. So a slightly
We're
worse.
about to get into our meta predictions.
Right. Okay.
But
Yeah.
first, we have a couple quick things. First of all, do you guys think there's any cards that weren't added anywhere on the limited. I'm not saying which ones do you think should move because we've talked about that. But any cards in Speed Duel you think should have been added to limited that weren't?
Cursive, do you have anything?
I'm trying to think. I wasn't prepared for this question.
Yeah, me either. You gotta give us some advance notice. You gotta.
Okay, it's okay if you don't have any.
We
Nothing off
gotta.
the top of my head.
We gotta
for
write
sure.
these
I'm like-
anime scripts in advance here.
I know, right? I'm loading up Dueling Book now. I got to go look at what decks I've built.
Okay.
I only
Okay.
have one, and it's not a big deal.
I mean, my pick is obviously just Cyber Angel Weedaton instead of Benton. Just end it. Just kill it.
Just swap those.
Yeah, just creature swap those over there. Yeah.
Okay.
That's all.
Mine I think is just Waking the Dragon.
Oh, yeah, Shadowban Waking. There you go. I agree.
It's not even like a popular used card. Most competitive players are like, I don't want a card that sometimes works.
It's just a skillless card.
Yeah, exactly. Like when it works, I might just win the game, but a lot of times it just doesn't work. Yeah, I probably don't want that card. That seems inconsistent.
It's
the fact
very
of the matter-
sacky. It's very
exactly.
sacky.
The fact of the matter is, when it works, you can just lose the game to activating a Night Beam.
Mm-hmm.
Activate Night Beam. Oh, you lost the game. Sorry. Like what?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's-
you lost the game.
Yes.
Like,
It's-
okay. That probably just shouldn't exist. So I think you should put Waking at banned, and if they don't want a ban list, put it literally anywhere. I don't care. 3, 1, whatever.
Yeah.
Just somewhere that's going to make people not touch the card. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And 3 or 1 probably both make you not touch that card.
Right.
Yeah, completely.
The thing about that is it'll never happen until people play it, and like you said, competitive players won't play it anyway. So you could argue it's not a problem, but I think it is a problem the day someone decides to play it. And imagine a single elimination tournament, you just get sacked by hitting a Waking, right? Like for those of you who are about to comment right now, that's not a problem. Okay, I think you might change your mind when it happens to you because a lot of times people change their mind based on personal experiences. So yeah. See you after that.
Yeah, I know, right? It's so ridiculous, especially when there's no way that you lose to this deck, and then you hit a Waking and you're like, oh, I can't out this Dragoon. I'm gonna lose.
Mm-hmm. Or Ojama King just locked my zones. I can't summon
yeah.
monsters. All
I
right.
activated Night Beam before I summoned a monster. Oh well.
Yeah.
Good game. Good
Yep.
game.
Yep.
You know, I sequenced my cards correctly and got punished.
Yes.
Whoops.
Yes.
My bad.
Yeah.
You played a bad card.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yep.
So just weird, strange. Just don't. Let's just all as a community, gentle duelist out of Waking the Dragon, and we won't be a problem. We'll be fine.
Exactly.
Hey, luckily the competitive players already kind of do this. Like,
Yeah, they do.
we're not-
They do.
Most of them just don't play this card.
Yeah, because competitive players don't play coin flips, right? We don't play Blowback Dragon, so we don't play Waking the Dragon. It's essentially a coin flip. So we don't competitive players. We don't like that, so it's fine.
First off, did you think of one? And it's okay, you don't have to.
Oh no! Once you brought up Waking, I stopped looking actually.
Okay, that's fair.
All right. Yeah.
And the last question I had about the list is: are there anything that you want to take off the list or move to a less
man.
restricted area?
Ooh,
That's a long list. That's like most of the list, isn't it?
yeah.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but there's a few.
This
I don't
is,
know. I
this
might
is
go that far.
spicy. Let's take Rhoda off. Why is that there?
Just
Rhoda's
take it off completely?
gone.
Yep.
Allure
fine
can
with that.
come.
Allure can come off. Absolutely.
Foolish can come.
Yes.
Hanger can come.
Yep.
Book. I don't know why Book is there. They just added Wall. That can come off.
Crystal Raigeki.
Crystal. Yeah. Why is that there?
What?
Crystal
I
Raigeki
don't
gotta go.
understand. Like Crystal Beast is a GX deck. Let it be a good deck.
You can clean up. You're right, though. You are making a point. You can clean up most of this list.
Yep.
Yeah. And then even
Except
crazier,
for
if
one.
you added a forbidden section, you can clean up even more of the list.
Mm-hmm. Imagine moving Cocoon, TP, and Joey into that forbidden section. That would allow you to free Parasite. It would allow you to free a couple of staples that is probably on there because of Joey, like Wall. And it would allow you to free Volcanic Shell.
Shell
Because-
would be freed.
Poor Shell, man. It didn't do nothing, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, the 3 is just getting so crowded. And And if you change too many, I'm not asking Konami to pull 6 of these cards off at once. I think that's too dramatic, and it might have consequences we don't want. But like each time you make a list, can you just like pull the least?
I thought they were going to.
Yeah. Like every 4 months, can you just pull the least offensive card off? And I think you got to start with Union Hanger.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
Unions. Those. Oh.
But then 4 months later, it's like okay, Rhoda's off and Foolish is off and Allure's off and
yeah, and do it the advanced format way if you want. Move it down,
changes.
right? Even just move it down, right? Like we seen them move. What was it? It was Foolish from 1 to 2.
Rhoda to 2. Yeah, I'm okay
exactly.
with that.
Rhoda to 2, because if I'm playing like a Lightning Golem deck, I don't want Foolish or Allure. So if Rhoda was at 2, I'm playing 2 Rhoda, right? If I'm playing Don Zalug, I'm probably playing 2 Rhoda.
Yeah, so and like it's like let's just take it like you can take it one step at a time, but I want to see things come off. Like nothing came off, and it's so sad. Like you said, move Rhoda to 2, and then take Crystal Raigeki off, and we can call it for now.
And Union Hanger, those 3.
Union
I think those 3 are the really safe ones.
Yes,
very safe, very safe.
Yeah.
Because the 3 gets complicated because, like, there's too much on it. We do think we should take some off. But when you take one off, you're lowering the hits you did to things like Twisted Personality, I'm just going to attack, Floodgate, Trap Hole.
Yep.
Which are cards we do want to see less of.
Yes.
I have another topic of discussion before we move on to our meta choices here. Do we want to see this changed from a dueling style list?
I do, but the issue I have for this is it would cause a decently big ban section, in my opinion. Because if you were to then have Zoma and Offerings and Nightmare Wheel and all those at one, everybody would play one of each, right? So that's in 20 card decks. That's kind of a problem. You would have to be like, okay, Zoma is banned, Nightmare Wheel is banned. Sure, Offerings and Jinzo can stay at one, right? And so your ban section would kind of keep increasing. Like at this moment, they would probably have to ban Golden Ladybug because they're refusing to ban Twisted Personality, right? So I think it would make a clunky ban section. So yes, but they're not willing to ban cards. So also maybe no. Because I've always been in favor of the clean ban list, right? You know this. Where I'm like
3 or 0.
Ban your 7 problematic cards and then just call it. Because it's fine. Let people play 3 Book of Moon. Why? That's such a fun card. What's your problem?
Yeah.
So, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I think some of the issue stems from the fact that like right now it's not horrible, right? But as the list gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and we're still playing in a dueling style list where it's not, automatically going to say, hey, you have 3 breakers, you can't play that Book of Moon or you can't play that skill. It's just going to get progressively more difficult, right?
Yeah, and I think as tournament organizers, me and you, Cursive, although you haven't done one for a while, but you take deck lists. No, you don't. Toxin does. I think I have the best perspective on this at this moment for like, you get a deck, and I think Alam has way more than me because he has to look at like 60 decks per month sometimes. And I used to have to. But like as the ban list gets bigger, to like get deck list submissions and have to be like, okay, I have to remember 15 cards now and look for all of them in the right count. Like that becomes a real pain. Like imagine deck checks at YCSs now, right? Like the judges are gonna have to be like, okay, let me see your deck, and then they're gonna have to like hold up the paper ban list and be like, okay, let's see 3 of that. So you have 3 of that. Now I gotta make sure you don't have any of these other cards. Let's see. Okay, they're not there. And it's so easy to miss something, right? If I'm playing 3 Cyber Dragon, 1 Wall of Disruption. Well, the judge might miss that wall if I, stack it under the widespread correctly there. So it's just weird, right? Like I'm not saying you would intentionally do that, but if it just happens to be, it's like 3 cards with W that start with W. You're like, oh, it's just 3 widespread. It's like, is it? Yeah. So it's very easy to miss. So that's the problem with the list getting too big. So we'll see if it actually happens as a problem.
It's funny because we're already approaching that point, because when I go make a list, I'm like, Tara, my deck's legal, right?
It doesn't help that Dueling Book questions you sometimes now when you're not when it shouldn't be. So
Yeah, shout out to Dueling Book.
But yeah, I'll have like a book and 2 cybers or something, and I'll have I don't know what else, and I'll be like, is my deck legal, Tara? I forgot. Like it's getting complicated.
It is getting complicated. And that's what I like about that's what I hate most about the list is just how it's gonna infinitely keep growing seemingly. It's like every time there's a new set, instead of making the set powerful, we're going to make the list bigger.
Yeah.
To like as like a please play the new set. I'm like, no, please make more decks like Dark Scorpion, and we will, like without you even begging us to. So yeah.
Right.
It's strange. Whatever.
All right. So I think that brings us to our final topic. It's going to be, what are your predictions for what's the meta going to be? And I think we should just stick this to tier 1 and higher tier 2 decks, and we can go like one deck at a time until we run out of decks. I don't have that many personally, but you guys may. So Tara, why don't you start us off with what is a deck you think will be tier 1 or tier 2?
TP Vampire. And it's not the vampire half. So I don't know if I need to say anything else about that.
I mean, the vampire half is okay.
It's okay, but it's in this specific build, it's just the engine that triggers your skill. Yeah, that's all it's really doing.
That's my number 1 pick. I agree with that one.
Yep.
You have the whole, familiar, retainer. Okay, now you have 2 counters, and now you search an awakening. That's a cool play. Like it's not super powerful of a play when you're not getting 2 counters with it, though.
Yeah. And the reason it doesn't seem overly oppressive yet, for those of you who have been testing, is because it hasn't been optimized yet. You got to remember that.
It's very far from it.
It's been 2 weeks. Give it time.
And we haven't had any events.
No.
Or any like we had the weekly, and have we had a showdown?
Yeah. But we had the 250th YCS, but like Volcanics still won
but that was in that was
whatever.
in old format.
Yeah, like that didn't
I
really
think for things to even like approach optimization, that's like 4 or 6 weeks maybe, and then you're getting closer.
Yeah, in Speed Duels it takes like a decently long time too, because we have such a smaller player base, right?
We just have less players working on decks.
Yeah, it is a smaller card pool, but there's less players, so it kind of evens out.
Yeah. So that's my prediction. There's not much else to say, right? Like you have the hand disruption your first turn.
Yeah.
Almost guaranteed. Like very consistently, not almost guaranteed. That's the wrong way to put it. Very consistently you have the hand disruption on going first. Or if you know what deck your opponent's on, you save those 2 counters you get on your first turn, and then you can destroy their boss monster on your next turn. If they're on like Cyber Angels, you're like, okay, I'll have 2 bodies on the field to survive, and I'll have 2/3 of my TP to kill the Izana. Go ahead, Izana me, right? So yeah, that's why it's probably,
and your awakening can grab curse in that situation.
Yes.
Like,
all right, you killed my curse. Whoops, it's back.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a curse.
Just like a curse, it keeps coming.
Yep.
I'll get the other really obvious one out of the way. I think Joey will be still very good. All it really lost from the old list was like you cut book. One card, literally 1 card.
Yeah, and whether your key normal summon is Banisher or Battle Survivor, I don't think it's right to play both. But whether your key normal summon is either, hey, no graveyard, or hey, I'm going to recycle this battle trap or sphere Karibo or whatever it is I play, right? Those are both pretty good with Joey still. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I think Banisher is like the try-hard version where it's like, okay, this counters TP, so I should play this.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Battle Survivor build is also pretty strong.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess if we're sticking to, obvious ones, I think CA is still easily tier 2. Very, very strong, very, very strong enders. I don't think people are going to be on it a lot because they weren't on it a lot last format. But is it still going to exist? 100%. Maybe Ursus will bring it and go win something with it again.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever I bring it up in SDL that nobody will play CA anymore, Ursus goes until a bear appears. I'm like, oh,
Right.
well, there you go.
Yeah, I think it isn't going to be necessarily a popular deck, but yeah, in power level, it's I think it just went from tier 1 to tier 2. I think it's still good.
Mhm.
Yep.
Less good.
It's still really good, and it can still just like, end your day in 5 minutes. So
Yep.
be ready for that to happen.
Okay, so I guess you can go next, Tara. Let's. I think those were the 3 obvious ones. So
Those
let's
were
get
the 3 obvious
more exciting
ones.
picks.
I'm gonna put Dark Scorpion at tier 2.
Okay.
For IRL YCSs, for online tournaments, right, where it's legal on Dueling Book. Where Chick is legal. Sorry, the whole deck is mostly legal everywhere. Where Chick is legal, that's gonna be a solid tier 2 deck. It's just if you draw the Don Zalug and it's not disrupted on summon of any of your 3 monsters, like there's no floodgate or anything. Once you start getting in the damage, that first 400 and you get to like stack a monster or bounce a card, that's it. Like you are gaining such a big advantage from that point forward in that game. Because if you bounce a card, you can discard it with Zalug. If you stack a card and you lock your opponent's draw, cool. But if you don't want them to draw the card you stacked, you can just use the mill effect of your other Dark Scorpion. And now they won't draw that card if you thought it was really good, right? Like if your opponent has Battle Survivor and you don't want them to draw that because you know they have something they're going to recycle with it, then just mill it off the top of their deck. But yeah, no, once you start getting that damage in, it's really easy to just gain advantage, which is very hard to come back from. Like better side warrior elimination, because you'll need it.
It's Raigeki.
It is.
It's a solid card.
Yeah.
If warrior decks end up being popular.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I have one more pick. I think a Dark Gaia deck that uses things like Jujitsu Master instead of things like Valkyrion, and probably uses things like Malicious Edge instead of things like Raviel. And you're making a 3900, which so tiny, right, guys? Not 70, not even 75, just
Not
39.
Not even 55. Come on.
I think that build that just makes a 3900 Dark Gaia. I think that could be a tier 2 deck. Dark Calling is a very good card, and Dark Fusion's okay, especially when it's
a lot
searchable.
better when you read it.
When I read it,
It's Terra Master will get it. If anyone doesn't get it, they should go watch the VOD from the weekly stream.
Right.
Yeah.
was it targeted? At the
Dark,
same
no.
time as everyone?
Dark Calling is a lot better when you read the card. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people don't know that it's not only graveyard.
Yeah. Sometimes people aren't aware of these things, and
Understandable.
they
Yeah,
lose
for sure.
games because of it. But hard
Okay.
to say, right?
Yeah.
I will say on that though, Skull Archfiend of Lightning, because and our
Way better
perspective
than
differ
Garbage
on this.
Edge.
Yes, our perspective differ on this. But when I read that card, I read nice shrink. You wanna try that? Nice book of mood. You wanna try that? You wanna see how much fun we can have today? So I don't know. Some people might read it differently.
I thought competitive players didn't play coin flip cards.
Ooh.
Oh.
This is notable. Different.
See, but this is a coin flip for both players.
So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's like a bad card, but I'm not playing it.
I think it's better than Edge.
It's better than Edge.
I don't think so. It just piercing and is 100 bigger.
Piercing. Nobody's ever done that. That's
And
impossible.
I could draw a card if I choose to play
Cyber Dragon.
Prodigy.
I mean, yeah, that.
Yeah. But now you're playing more bad cards. You know how I feel about that. Yep. All right, Cursive, do you have one last deck for us?
All right. This is what I like to call the curse of special here. No one's going to agree with me, but it's okay. I think Crystal Beast has potential.
It's
No,
true.
I just agree.
You just agree? All right, wonderful.
It's
I think
no.
Crystal Beast is like a very, very solid control deck, and a lot of its issues are being removed. Obviously, having more 3-ofs along with Raigeki is, not ideal, but you also don't need 3 Raigeki. So
I like 3 Raigeki because I think
I mean, yeah,
monster removal I think is lacking in the format, and it's a good thing to have. So I like 3 Raigeki, but I agree. I guess you don't need 3, so you can play wall or book or something. But I still like Raigeki.
no, definitely, and I think
Free Raigeki.
a lot of people just think that Conclave is just 100% always better than Raigeki, but this is like genuinely really not true. There's a lot of situations where it's better to kill a card and just say, hey, you can use it next turn.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you made it this far into the video, comment hashtag free Raigeki so that we can confuse a bunch of advanced players.
You are Justice after all.
Scare a bunch of Goat and Edison players who'll be like, what? Raigeki? No. We don't need 3 of those in our format. And then Speed Duel players will get it. So there you go. Cool.
Yeah. I thought of one more, actually, while you said Crystal Beasts, which I also forgot. I do like Crystal Beasts.
I love it.
I think Armed Ojamas are
yeah.
Probably somewhere on tier 2.
Yeah, because they didn't get hit at all, right? And the only thing that Ojamas makes them slightly worse than like Cyber Angels is that 2 OTK they need creature swap. That's it. Like, or multiple copies of Oja Match, right?
Yeah.
So you have to draw a specific hand, which you can't search immediately. Like they don't have a skill card which lets them search Oja Match from deck. And that's the only thing that makes it slightly worse. It's like, oh, you need to actually hard draw your double Oja Match or your creature swap to OTK.
You can search Oja Match with
blue. Right, if you have the creature swap, right? So
right.
Yeah. This is why you need either 2 copies of that to begin with or the creature swap. So yeah, that's the only problem is you have to hard draw like 2 spell combo, essentially. So yeah. All right.
That's all I got.
All right. Well, is that it? Is that it for the podcast?
That's it. We did it.
All right. Well, this was just a new format ban list update type thing. So you thought we had a new format 2 weeks ago? Well, guess what? We got a new format again now. So hope you enjoyed your 2 weeks of TP Volcanic with just happens to have some opponents that are from a new box. So you can put that to the side because poor Volcanic Shell got hit for no reason. And now just replace your Volcanic cards. Exactly. Now just replace your Volcanic cards with Vampire cards. But I'm just kidding. Keep experimenting with the box. This is one of those things where there could be a deck that comes out of nowhere, right?
And try different things too. Just because you see that Ursus is playing 30 card vampires, that's just volcanics but vampires, doesn't mean you have to. Doesn't mean it's right. I know Ursus is a cool bear and all, but doesn't mean it's right.
Yeah, it does not have 100% rate of creating meta decks. Other people have done that too. So
if Justice is just attacking directly, you don't have to.
Yeah. Shout out to Justice playing all the direct attack decks. Play tested with Justice the other day. And he played Raging Cat and Dark Scorpions, and that's it. And I'm like, okay, so like. Nice one trick pony you've become. I hope he doesn't listen to this.
Dark Scorpion deck just have its own name. Can't you just call it Dark Scorpions? No, I had to come up with a new name for it. It's now called Raging Dawn.
Raging Dawn.
Nice. But all right, yeah. Keep testing, and we'll be back next month with this is Speed Duel. So now we really don't expect there to be big news for a couple months. So
we'll see.
Next month we'll be back with probably just a meta update, and we'll let you know how things go with our testing, and obviously we'll be looking out for the tournament results where all you play. So until next time, for Terra Master, for Drake, for Cursive, for Team JDG, shout out to Justice. You will join us next time. Until then, we're out.